Hi everyone. Saccharine follows a medical student who gets drawn into an obscure underground weight loss craze that involves consuming human ashes. Sick, I know. What starts as a desperate attempt to shed some kilos quickly spirals into a nightmare as a sinister force begins terrorizing her, blurring the lines between guilt, hallucination, and something far more malevolent. If that premise sounds familiar, it's because the film treads very similar ground to Fenestra, which came out earlier this year. I actually reviewed Finestra on my YouTube channel, and while Saccharine shares the same food related horror DNA, it leans harder into the grotesque. This movie has noticeably more gore and a much darker, grimmier mood than its predecessor. That said, these food related horror movies are really not my cup of tea. I find them really very familiar in tone and structure, and this subgenre just doesn't click with me, unfortunately. The constant emphasis on consumption and bodily fluids feels repetitive across these films, and Saccharine didn't do enough to break the mold for me, unfortunately. The gore in particular was just disgusting. I was gagging during several scenes, and some of the practical effects are impressively nasty, but they cross the line from effective horror into straight up nausea for me. If you're squeamish about bodily fluids, ashes, and close up mutilation, consider yourself warned. On a positive side note, I really like the lead actress. She carries the film well and makes you feel her growing paranoia and physical deterioration. The dark tone is also effective. The film commits to a bleak, oppressive atmosphere that suits the material. As a Melbourne local, I also got a kick out of recognizing familiar streets and locations. It's always fun seeing your city on screen, even in the horror context. My biggest issue is the pacing of the film as well. At nearly 2 hours, Saccharine drags in the middle. It should have been trimmed by at least 20 minutes, I reckon. Some of the dream and hallucination sequences go on too long and also sap the tension instead of building it. Overall, Saccharine is a competently made horror flick with some strong performances and some memorable, if revolting, imagery, but the overfamiliar premise, excessive length, and relentless gross out factor kept me from fully enjoying the whole film. If you're a fan of extreme body horror and dark Australian genre films, you'll probably get more out of this than I did. So my final review for this movie, my score is 2.5 out of 5. As I said previously, I did like the darker tone of this movie than Finestra had, and also the lead actress was pretty good for a movie of this caliber. And there's also the ghost that's in this movie is pretty neat, I reckon. Pretty different than what we usually see in these kind of horror movies, which I like. And yeah, so if you're after a movie where you would like to be grossed out by your friends, this is a movie that I would check out. If you like this sort of content, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I will be reviewing more horror movies in the near future.